All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Asian session. I'm your host for tonight's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for all of you being here with us as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we continue to do an awesome job of participating and engaging. I did have some technical issues just a second ago, so if everybody can hear me loud and clear, please drop me a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me, and we can get this session off and running. My signal seems to be a little bit choppy. Everybody's good? Okay, so we must be all right. I'm gonna seem to be a little glitchy, but all right, so we'll get rocking and rolling. I think everybody should have control over their microphone. And let's dive into this thing. So the big thing today was that the Fed meeting minutes came out from their last meeting. And we can see here that the Fed left certain on further rate hikes. U.S. Federal Reserve officials expressed uncertainty about how much more policy tightening may be appropriate in the future, and many focused on the need to retain optionality. Minutes from the May FOMC meeting showed some members saw the need for more rate hikes, while others anticipated that deceleration in growth would eliminate the requirement for further tightening. All right, so those are some of the things that we were talking about, especially coming off of the Saturday weekly ritual. We know that was going to be important. So hey, we have the potential for a pause in rates. We'll see what happens as we continue to move through the end of May into June to see if they still hike 25 basis points or if they put things on a pause, right? A lot of Fed officials there's a lot of debate back and forth as to whether or not they're going to pause rates, but they are still holding pretty firm in regards to whether or not, when it comes to the fact that they don't expect any cuts this year, right? And so that's what a lot of investors are looking for, the potential of cuts. That's what coming into 2023, that's what a lot of investors were projecting, even though the Fed is saying they don't see any cuts coming. At the beginning of the year, there was also the Fed was saying that they didn't anticipate any pausing either, but we're right here on the brink of a potential pause in rates. So we'll see how it continues to play out. We can see U.S. mortgage rates rise to over a 2-month high, right? Housing industry, very, very important to our economy. And we've got crude oil rises to a 3-week high. So we've got a bounce in the crude. And we see here that is propelled by tightening in supplies, right? And let me see here. Tightening in supplies and optimistic fuel demand prospects. U.S. crude oil inventories plummeted unexpectedly by 12.45 million barrels, the largest drop since 2022, EIA data showed. Also, gasoline inventories fell by 2.05 million barrels, surpassing expectations. Looking ahead, oil prices set to receive additional support after the Memorial Day holiday marks the beginning of summer travel. It all matters. On the supply side, Saudi Arabia's energy minister warned short sellers to watch out for potential consequences, increasing the likelihood of additional OPEC plus output cuts. So that's the latest crisis. So we'll continue to watch the oil prices. We know that it affects currencies too, especially the CAD. So we'll continue to also watch what's going on economically when it comes to China, right? So we'll get back. What else? Where did that article just go? It was just there. I guess it switched on me in regards to let me see here. Australia, Singapore. Where did the UK news just go? Not sure, but if I find it, we'll cycle back to it, or I'll make sure I post it. But there was a pretty good article in regards to news coming out of the UK, which led me to believe, hey, continue bullish on the pounds right now. So that's that on the DXY front, right? we had a pretty good discussion. Oh, there we go. On this on Saturday, right? About the dollar breaking out of that range. We have been looking at the possibility of this crown on the weekly, and we can see that it found support. Now the dollar is looking to try to move back up to that weekly resistance level. But when we come down, this is where all the discussion was on Saturday about, hey, we're breaking back above that 12,858 level, that daily resistance level, breaking out of that range. And that's exactly what it continues to do. So it not only broke that range, it retested it and it continued bullish. So we've got dollar strength right now. If we come down to the one, you can see even on the DXY, right? Everything moves in waves. You can see that range coming straight across here, all right? And the break and the pullback and the continuation. So we've got daily resistance and you've got a D extension just above that. So we'll continue to see what happens with the dollars, but the bulls are out. So let's continue to watch that closely. That is it on the fundamental front. The big thing today, of course, again, was the Fed meeting minutes. Any questions on the fundamentals? Nope. All right. So I want to go through a lot of pairs tonight because I have been out. I was at a training, an awesome 7 habits of highly effective people training. It was a 2-day seminar, really good. So I am happy to be back though on the charts with all of you. So let's go and start diving in and taking a look at some of the setups that we were looking at from Saturday. A lot of them have been going pretty well, right? Including this Aussie CAD that we have been pretty much bearish on the Aussie. And this one is moving down, closing in on an extension. So this is the 1 hour setup. So if you are short on the Aussie CAD, just know that we are getting close to an extension. So that one is playing out. 1 hour stochastic is back in the sell zone, right? So we're overbought in the sell zone. So we maybe looking at some exhaustion, right? And a continuation to the downside. So just continue to pay attention to that. We can see here that on the daily, we are coming into support as well at 88.64. Okay. Daily stochastic is in the buy zone. All right. So that's going to be a pretty important support level. So just make sure that you are up. If you are up on the Aussie CAD, please manage your trade, secure the bag. Any questions on the Aussie CAD? No? All right. All right. So it's one thing to know the technicals and the fundamentals, right? That next skill set is all about how are you going to manage your position. Okay. So that's that on the Aussie CAD. I want to take a look at the Aussie Swiss. And we are still moving in a downward direction, right? So if we come into the daily, you can see we're turning over past support, becoming future resistance. Okay, and we got the reaction back to the downside, the lower time frame play. Okay, we're short in this zone. Okay, so we are still moving down. So we are looking for that ABCD wave, right? So B to C, and we're looking to come down and finish out at that D extension, right? Market moves in waves. If we come down to 1 hour, okay, similar move, which is where we had the markup. It's taken a while, right, but it is moving in our direction. So we'll see if we can come in at the extension. Again, listen, the market has been bouncing around like crazy. The Fed said, hey, we may put things on pause, right? You got some back and forth there, but you can see that in regards to the stock market rallying, everything is still being weighed down by the debt ceiling negotiations, which from what I hear, maybe stalling. So I believe they'll work it out, but that is weighing on the markets right now. So like we say, manage your trade, right? You've got your risk management in place, but now it's all about that trade management as prices moving in your direction. All right, so that's the Aussie Swiss. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. All right, so moving into, I want to take a look at our Aussie dollar. Right, so we came in, first of all, let's go up to this weekly and daily levels. We've got a break, right, of support 65.57 level broke, right? For the week, you can see nice bearish candle, which is the direction we needed to go based on our markup. And you can see we are falling bearish. Stochastic on the daily, right? It's exhausting back into the buy zone. Okay, so we may have some exhaustion to the downside, which makes sense, right? If we just talk about how the market likes to break support, we know it also likes to go back eventually and retest the level that it just broke. So that makes sense if we come to the 4 hour where we see the markup that we had coming out of the weekend. Okay, we've got a move back down, okay, to the downside where we hit that D extension. Okay, but now we have a brand new fib that just popped up. Okay, brand new fib that popped up. You also have it here on the 1. Okay, which is a little different here on this 1 hour setup. We had it at 42.128. Okay, on the markup. So right around the same thing. Similar to the downside, ABCD wave complete. We've got a new, right, AB boundary. Okay, so eventually, okay, either we make that reversal now off the B boundary, like so. Okay, we work our way down, or same thing over and over again. Potentially we get an 80-20 type scenario. Price reverses, right? We know we can play that counter trend, like so. Any questions on the Aussie dollar? Okay. So we marked it up on both charts, depending on which chart you play, your 4 hour or your 1, same direction, but a little difference in your risk to reward setup there. Fairly similar, but a little bit different. But that's that. So if you're looking to get short, you wait for it to pull back in your zone, right? Hope you all can see how effective that could be. Okay. Bring it here. So we can adjust this, figuring off that 1. Here's the 61.8 zone. And if you're saying, hey, that trend is bearish, that's what I'm going to stick with, then you just run the adjustments. Okay. Here, trading with the trend, that's your next setup. Here, like so. Stop above your A. It pulls back into your sweet spot. There. So if you're looking to ride that trend, we want a high price, right? We want a discount. Okay. And we ride the wave until it runs out on us. Okay. So if we look into short at the 61.8, we got 62 pips. And we've got a D extension It's about, call it 175. That would be if you're trading that with the trend. If you're looking at an 80-20 scenario, you come down in your zone, you got 50 pips to the D extension, 94, so it almost puts you at a 2-to-1, and to your 61.8 to the counter trend move on the buy at the 80-20 zone, about 128. All right. Any questions on how we set that up?
Oh,
No? All right. If you're coming along and you're following the process and you're like, man, this is boring, Benny. This is so boring. Like I just sit and I just wait. I wait for my high price, then I get short, or I wait for an 80-20 zone, then I take the buy at the low price for the counter trend move. It is boring. I can't stand it. My answer to you is that's great. That's where you want to be. Right? It will be boring. When you get to that point, you're looking to turn the corner and you're going to continue to go in a positive direction. Right? Because when you're doing it and you're following your process and it's the same thing over and over again, it is boring. But boring is what makes you the money. All right. Any questions on that? That's just what I found.
Hey, Benny, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I have a question just as far as like managing the trade from this point. So just thinking, sometimes I do like, so thinking without fibs, if I'm just thinking level to level, we could expect resistance or like some type of consolidation at levels. Like, I'm trying to figure out with my trade plan, how to like be effective with managing the position. So I have started with like a 0 or a 0.25%. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I some advice on how to manage it from this point, level to level.
From this point right here? Okay. So this is what you can do. All right, when you're in these swings level to level. Okay, so you've come into a target there, right? And we just recently hit a D extension. Okay. So either in your trade plan, you're going to be out there completely, or what you're going to do is you're going to start to adjust your stop loss, right? If you're thinking, hey, I've got further downside, I just broke support. We're looking for a pullback. Then what you do is, what I would do is use, if you're not out completely, right, off of this move, 120 or the 128, depending on what, it's just a slight difference depending on which time frame you took it off of. Now you're managing this trade. If you think it has further downside, then you can start to adjust your stop. Now, I am looking to continue bearish on it. So if it pulls back, probably gonna look to add to my position, right? Look to add to a position when I get a new high price because I'm in profit. But you see my stop, right? My stop is no longer up here, right? I'm moving it down. Some people may move it down further than that, right? That's something that you have to figure out, right? But I'm looking I'm looking for a continuation short. So even though it pulls back, I'm gonna look for it to continue lower. Now, some people may come and they may say, they may move to, for example, if I'm moving to, I may look at a different resistance level, right? I want to move it further in profit, okay? And as long as it doesn't pull back and stop you out in profit, then the trade is going to continue. They put a trailing stop at a certain level, and if they get stopped out, they get stopped out. They don't worry about it, right? So some traders may come in and say, you know what, I'm gonna put it above this, right? Not knowing anything about the fib sequence, right? So if you're just looking at that, I may say, you know what, I'm gonna put it above that high. If you get stopped out, then you get stopped out in profit, right? You get stopped out in profit. You made the money. Yes, you gave some back, but you made your money. You got your direction right. You made plenty of money. Boom, I'm stopped out. But you still have a bearish mindset when it comes to the Aussie dollar. So say you get stopped out in profit, price runs up, okay? price runs up and stops you out in profit. Oh, I got stopped out. Right? Took me out. Bang. All right. I still made really good money. Next area I'm looking for, if my mindset is, hey, it's still bearish, this is just a correction, I'm looking for where price could react. Right. And so I'm out of that trade now, made my money. And when price comes back to a zone, right, and this is just lining up, but your next area here, if price pulls back into the zone, then you can look to get back in on the trade again. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes complete sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's just something that it depends on, it all comes down to the trader and their psychology. Like some traders can't deal with, look, I'm already up, 100 and something pips. I'm not willing to sit through the pullback. So I might be out at that previous D extension, or like I say, I may have a trailing stop at a certain, past resistance level, and if I get stopped out, you know what, I locked in some profit, right? Even though I gave some back, I locked in some profit. I'm still bearish. I'm gonna wait for a new high price, and then I'm gonna look to short it again, right? You could be successful either way.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You can be successful either way, because this is where we are, right? We just happen to know, right, in this group, how the Fib sequence works, how it resets itself, and we know we're coming into an area where price may exhaust and pull back, right? And then that other scenario that we talked about is I'm staying short, I'm still holding my trade, and when it pulls back to the high price, I'm just gonna add to the position. I'm putting in another order, and I'm gonna watch. I'm just gonna compound it because I'm trading slow, right? Trading at 0.25%, 0.5%, some people 1%. I'm just gonna add to the position because it's gonna give me a new high price, and I want to sell at a high price. So, a few different scenarios there. Great question. Any other questions? No. All righty. Let's keep it moving, and that's the Aussie dollar. Ryan really covered the CAD yen this morning. I want to take a look at the Swiss yen. And this is a pretty cool one because we know, right, everything's pretty much been running against the yen, but we're getting to some pretty high levels, right? But this is extended. This black line here, right? We're looking at the highest it's been. Okay, it made a higher high, but when we come down to the daily chart and we zoom in, we can see that we hit an extension. That's why you no longer see this fib active, right? We got a pullback, 8.6, the last level that it hit. We didn't quite get back to the 8 boundary. So we had a 1.18 D extension projection. We hit that, okay? So what that means is we may be seeing some exhaustion soon in a correction. We got a stochastic that's in the sell zone, okay? We're way up here, right? Way up there in regards to the stochastic. So we may be losing some momentum. So overall, yes, the trend is up. We are bullish, but we may be getting to a point where we may see a correction, right? Not necessarily because of a Swissy weakness, but because you may get some profit taking. And when you come down to the 4-hour, you are still, right? So here's that daily 1.18D extension that was hit. And you are also in an 80-20 zone on this 4-hour fib, okay? So we may, right? We want to keep an eye out on things to see, okay, if price starts to stall out before it gets to that D extension, and then we get the correction back down, okay? So this is one that you watch closely and say, but if price, we got support here, got some support levels. If price breaks trend line on your lower time frame, makes a lower low, pulls back to a lower high, I may look to get short and take an opportunity on that, okay? Because we are sitting pretty high in this zone. So let's take this 4-hour level down. That. And just continue to be patient. Because you've got a high here and it's running, right? You've got a 1-hour stochastic, right? It's overbought. Okay. You can see on the 1, we've got a new fib. So maybe we push up a little higher into this zone. If we do, cool, right? Because then that'll give us an 80-20 alignment on the 1 as well. Okay. So let's continue to be patient with that move. Okay. So right now, for me, in my trade plan, this is no man's land. Now there's some people who take trades off of 236, right? Some people, hey, I'll take it off to 236 if I break and get a retest of this B boundary, which is what? Resistance, right? And then hey, some people will say, I'll take it like this, right? This B boundary, if they're not long off that 236. Okay. Let's say if I get a break of that B boundary and we retest that resistance as support, I'll take it long, right, to this zone. All right. Some people do that. That's not my thing. Right. I'll rather wait to get into that 80-20 zone and then look for the correction back down for the counter trend. Okay. That. But it all comes down to your trade plan. Then of course, if you're rolling with the trend, you want to see it correct to a deep price, right? Discount. And then look to potentially get long. Okay. But be patient. Be patient. Use your additional confirmations, especially when it comes to yen crosses, because we're in a situation right now with this whole debt ceiling thing. Things can go off the rails quick. So let's just continue to be smart with our setups, trade what we see. Any questions on the Swiss yen? Oh, yeah. On this one, I took it right out of this zone right here. Right here. That's where I pulled it out and started running them. All right. That's on the one that's hard right now. You're welcome, Ricks. You're welcome. So let's move on. Take a look at this Euro CAD. Because it's trying to gain some momentum. It's been bouncing around. So this is where we are here. Okay. We didn't get stopped out. It's still hanging in there. It's doing the dance. I'm gonna let it go, right? I've already got the risk figured out. Having a struggle around this 146.20 level. But we're looking for a pullback and then a correction down, right? Because it was a monster move, right, to get to this point on the sell-off. So just trying to see if we can pull back and then continue down for the larger overall play, because we don't have a 382, but it's struggling, right? Because we've got a strong euro. We got that bounce in the oil price, right? Which favors the CAD. So it's doing the dance. So it's up a little bit. We'll continue to watch and see how that plays out, right? But that one's been dancing around for a long time. So we'll see what happens on that. Any questions on that Euro CAD?
Hey Benny, I do have a question just on like the bias itself. So for me, just looking at the trend line break, I would think like sell, but the 80-20 is a counter trend sale. So never mind.
So it is, right? So we sold. That was a seer out of that zone, but it's such a big mover.
Okay.
You know, it's such a big mover because here is, right, if it shot out of this 80-20 zone, and your 382 is over 800 pips away. Okay? So the possibility of that pulling back and then continuing down, I would I would respect that because it's not just going to drop for 800 pips. You get what I'm saying? So because out of the zone, out of the 80-20 zone to where it is now, right, where it came in at that low and found support was 400 over 400 pips. It's crazy, right? So, you know, because it's such a big mover. So when we spotted this sub fib, we were just like, you know, maybe we're finding support because it's like, hey, a pullback, then a continuation. Maybe it gets caught in the range, you know, but either way, if it goes buy side off that support, we're in position to take advantage of it. It's just struggling. It's just struggling. So we'll continue to see, right? I mean, it's bounced around in this smaller range, and the stochastic on the 4 is back into the sell zone. So who knows? But I would love to see it get to a high price, maybe retest the backside of that trend line and then see what it wants to do from there. But we don't. We know that's a daily fib I've got. I just brought it down because it was just a cleaner look for me. So what you're seeing on the 4 is right here. You see, and you can see how this, we've got some, when it comes to the stochastic, we got some misalignment, right? But you can see how it's just finding support. It's trying to find support in this area. So that's why I'm thinking if it can get back above that daily level, then we can move bullish at least to, there's another level here now. I've been watching this one for a while here. Like, so I like that down. But you can see what it's been doing over the last, you know, several days. Right? How it's kind of just doing it. Then it's struggling right here. Struggling to break back above. But if we can get above this and close, we are in business on this move back to the upside. Just taking its time. It's a big fight going on. Somebody's got to. It's either gonna hit my stop or it's gonna be a nice play. So that's that. Any questions on that EuroCAD? Are there easier plays? Yes. Okay. It's beautiful when they move nice and smooth like some of those Aussie pairs you just looked at. All right. So let's take a look at the Euro Swissy. And I'm setting this up off the one, but this one I'm watching closely. It's been a beautiful move. Look how close. So being super busy, I missed it, as I would have went ahead and closed this one out. So I'm seeing if it can at least come back down to the support and see what happens at this 97.04 if we can get it there. But we got a rejection here. We're just shot at 786. So I was trying to play it to the D extension. So I mean, been a good move, but now it's trying to figure itself out. We got a reversal that happened. So that's where we are. So if it tries to close back, tries to get back down to this 97.04, and it doesn't look like it's budging, then I'll close it. I may even close it out soon. So just because it's been a pretty good move so far on that pair, but that was the play, and yeah, it got close. That got within range for the caught it. That got within range of taking profit on it. Anybody short on a Euro Swissie? Anybody take it or close it out now?
Oh,
No. All right. Well, that's that. So want to take a look at the EJ. I believe I had a 1 hour scenario on that. Like moving along, it's doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. So you can see the swing here. All right. Stop below the A, you got an 8-6 pullback. So it respected that daily support at 146.30. And then it's just been moving up ever since. So that one, if you're sitting long enough, if you're playing that 1 hour play, that's getting close to to profit time on that for at least a 1 hour. Now, I'm overall bullish on the euros. Does it have a potential to move higher? Absolutely. Right. Just depends on what time frame you plan on and what your targets are. Right. So we've gotten above this 149.73. Right. So we could continue to move to 151 to retest that level, but we don't know yet. So sometimes I don't like to be in greedy mode. I like to take what I can get. This is a beautiful, right? We drew this up a while ago. You saw that? It's a beautiful retest of resistance and support, pushing long. So like I say, these yen crosses are getting a bit extended. The other one that concerns me here is that, I believe it's on this pair. I could bring it up, right? Yep. On this 4, this whole reaction on the 4 is it's at a pretty high level where we got the reaction off the 4-hour fib. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a correction at some point. But I'm trying to figure out, if the market goes into a risk-off mode for whatever reason, a debt ceiling or whatnot that can strengthen that yen. It's not due to monetary policy, right? They're still holding their ultra-loose monetary policy in regards to the Bank of Japan. So you still have a huge divergence there in regards to monetary policy. But if you shift the risk off, right, you can get some strength in that yen and you can see a pretty sizable correction. So I've been playing a lot of these, as you guys seen through like the Aussie pairs on the lower time frame. Just, hey, when I get that initial extension, I'm either gonna pull some money off the table, take it all off the table, because you don't know. You just don't know sometimes, with so many things fundamentally going on right now. Any questions on the Euro JPY? But that's closing in on that 118. So that's a beautiful move, right? This is a textbook study of how you can make money off of an 80-20 to the downside on the counter, at least back to your 382. That's what you're comfortable with. And then wait for your low prices to get long if you decided from your top down that your bias is bullish. Right? These are the zones that we play. Right? These are the zones that we play. And we do the same thing over and over. Right? We don't really deviate from it. All right. Euro NZD 4 hour. Right? That was a shock, right? Was the last night with the dovish tone from Reserve Bank of New Zealand, man, right? So, but it played to our favor, right? This is one we were talking about on Saturday, it being in the zone, 80-20 to the downside, right back into our zone here, and you got the break of the trend line. It snapped it in a major way too. Okay, so this has the potential to be a pretty sizable move if that plays out. So when you get this huge impulsive move to the upside like we broke resistance here on the 4. Okay. 4 hour break, we're looking for a pullback. Okay. We're looking for a pullback. Here's what we were looking at Saturday on the 1. It's coming in at that level, and we got the break. So if you come in, and if we track this from the 1 hour, then we could look to, we've got the potential for 80-20 play here on the 1 if we start to stall out here in this zone, right? So now that we've got, let me take this out, since that actually played out. Okay. 1 hour stochastic in the buy zone. This has been very, very impulsive. So we always say there's no technical setup that'll stand in the way of strong fundamental analysis. So this has been a pretty strong move with these NZD crosses. So we look for it to stall out here, but I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to accelerate to chase that 178.38. So if you're looking to play this 80-20, Just, hey, look to see if we get that pause, right? That consolidation, that ranginess out of this pair, that zone, and then draw your trend line, right? Draw your trend line to the upside, right? Either on this time frame, your lower time frame, maybe you use the cloud, but use additional confirmations if you're looking to play that. That's a very strong move that it made as a result of the fundamentals last night. So here we are, like that. I just took out that high, right? So before, this was your high, right? So you want your trend line to run through your high. But now you can see price has broken this high. So you have to adjust your trend line out and up like that. Dang. Because we're in the process of making a higher high. All right. Everybody follow me on that. Drop me a 2 in the chat. It's very important when you're drawing trend lines. Okay. Little review there. Okay. We moved higher. Okay. We have to adjust that. Okay. As you get caught with a false breakdown. So see what happens. See if price starts to stall, right? See if it breaks down, creates a lower low, right? And then move back, right? So if we move up, okay, into the zone, see if we break down, take out a low, and then potentially pull back. Okay? And back down, right? And you may track that on your 15 or your 5-minute or however you like to do it. If not, you're like, hey, Benny, I'm bullish, then it's the same game. Wait for a low price to get low. That's the Euro NZD. Euro USD. That one's been riding to the downside off that 1 hour setup for a while. Okay, it's taking its time. So we've got a very bullish dollar right now, as of late. And so we know that we already came through TP1 on this move. So it looks like we've got a shot for TP2. Okay, which we know is a 61.8. If I can get the fib here. Here we go. Okay. So, okay, if we come into that TP2, it's just still riding below that trend line. So if you're still holding a short on that, just continue to ride it out. And we'll see once it gets into the zone, right? We know the euro's been moving bullish against the dollar. And we're in a correction, right? So a huge 80-20, huge move to the downside. As long as we're below that trend line, stay in that direction. Now, when we get to this buy zone, we continue to watch the fundamentals closely to see if anything is going to change that'll cause this price to reverse and break this down trend line and start moving longer. Any questions on the Euro USD? That's been a nice move off the 80-20 zone.
Nope.
Okay. All righty. So let's just continue to trade what we see. Let's take a look at some of the pound pairs. Take a look at the pound Aussie. So hopes a lot of you see like the advantage of prepping over the weekend because if you're busy, right? Like I've had a super busy week this week. But you can still set yourself up for success swing trading, which is why we love swing trading so much. So this is the pound Aussie. This is the 1 hour move here. Okay. Huge potential mover, right? So we've come out of this 61.8 zone now. So we like to call this our push zone, our C to D push zone. Okay. So when you come off that 61.8, okay, you're already up over 200 pips. Okay, depending on where you took the position. So over the long term, hey, we look forward to continue to make ABCD waves all the way up to that D extension. Okay. Pretty bullish on the pound, pretty bearish on the Aussie. So I'm going to pull the trigger and make that play, okay, and live with the results. but that's running pretty good. We got to break above that 188 level, that 4 hour. That's what I was looking for to see if we were going to get that continuation, and it did. Right. So now we're at just 189.19. It's stalling. Right. We got a rejection here the last time. Right. We got a rejection here the last time. Let's see if we can keep that bullish momentum moving long. So that could be a huge setup. Right. So think about it. If you're trading at just 10 cents a pip when you swing trade like this, that's $75. It's $75. Think about that. Any questions on the pound Aussie? No? All right, cool, cool. So let's take a look at the pound CAD. All right, and this one is struggling, right? So started to make a move, almost got stopped out. Then it took off. Hold on 1 second. All right, almost got stopped out. This is that 1 hour play off the trend line break, but that was coming off of your C, right? Off of your C. Here's the larger play here. Okay, so we were going back and forth at it on Saturday. That's the C move, right? Playing the trend line break off the C on the 1, but this is the larger swing here. Okay, and you can see it break above that 168.58, something we were focusing on, and it's struggling right now. All right, we got some CAD strength. Oil price jumped, and it's just going back and forth. But you also have a strong pound, so you see how it gets rangy when you have 2 strong currencies or 2 weak currencies. How you can get trapped in a range, but that's okay. It's a swing. So I would prefer to see it eventually break out to the upside. But when you're trading small and you're using your risk, you're in at that 1/4%, 0.5%, 1%, right? And you're dividing your risk percentage by your stop loss. It's like, hey, I'm gonna see, don't sweat. It's not tying up my account. I'm gonna see how it plays out. Right? See how it plays out. Like, as long as it doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go my way. So that's still an active trade. And whenever it decides, we prefer for it to break to the upside, it's gonna break to the upside. Until then, I'm gonna go and continue to look at other setups, new setups, and then monitor the ones that I already have planned. Okay? And that's how it goes. That's the philosophy. That's what we do. Any questions on the pound CAD? So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. All right. So the pound Swissy. This is here. It's moving, but it's taking its time. It's been choppy, right? Super duper choppy. This is another one, right, that came in close and I got pulled back on, but it's all good. Right? See if it'll continue back down. Right? But that's the play there. It's better plays out there, but just wanted to go over it since we're talking about the pound. So that's the pound Swiss. We'll see if it continues to make that down move. Maybe we can get back to that 111.54 and see what happens there. Right? Since it broke and retested it and pushed to the upside last time. But that's the pound Swiss play. Let's see what happens. See what happens on that. If you're not in that one, wouldn't jump in it. Any questions on the pound Swiss? No. All right. Let's take a look at what's going on with the GJ. All right. Okay. Look at it from the daily. Right. We're trying to break a level. It's moving pretty high. Right. And that's what we mean by some of these yen crosses. They're getting pretty high. So overall bullish. But the question is it correct? Is it correction time? Are we going to start to see some corrective price action? This is the 4 hour here. And you can see, like, with a lot of the yen crosses, right, where the concern is you got a huge push off of these 236 levels. So you retrace 23%, and then we got to push up. Now it's just ranging. It's trying to break through, right? So watch for the breakout, right? If you haven't been involved with this one, it's sitting at a level where we are just ranging, right? So for people who like trading breakouts, that could be one, because here is the setup on the 1 hour. Okay. Your 1 hour wave gave you your zone, and it gave you a double bottom in your zone. But now look how it's pushed up and moved sideways. We don't have too much to go, right? So we prefer to see this break out to the upside and finish out. But that's where we are now. Okay. Looking to see if price wants to break out and continue before making a larger correction. Questions on the GJ?
No.
All righty. And then the pound dollar, right? We know we've had some good strength out of the dollar. This one here, man, look at what's going on, everybody. Okay. Look at the swing. Look at that reaction. Just coming back down. We broke back below 124.50. Okay. And we got dollar strength. So when you just look at structure, right, we didn't hold. And now that's pushing south. Okay. Same thing here. No 382 quite yet. Almost got there. Just missed it. But we reversed off that zone. Okay. Now we're here at daily support. So the question is, do we hold? Right? And we get the potential for the reversal, which we can track to play on the lower time frames. Okay. Or do we break and close below this 123.43 and continue to move? Right, short. We got a daily stochastic that's in the buy zone. This is what we look like on the 4. This is where we are. Huge reaction off this level. Okay. But the question is, do we hold and continue lower? What do you all think? Anybody? Any takers on this one? No takers? All right. All right. Here we are on the 1. Okay. On that trend line break to the downside. Depends on the US fundamentals. I agree. Right? Your 1 hour scenario coming off that high, you got to pull back to a 61.8. There's the extension at 122. So we may move lower and finish that out. Maybe we come in at 122.72 as support. Maybe we move right through this level. But that's that move back to the downside off that trend line. We shall see, right? If you didn't play that short off the break, right? Nothing doing right now. Let's see where price decides to settle next. Any questions on the pound dollar?
Nope.
No. All right. Let's take a look at, we'll finish it up. We'll take a look at the UCAD. And we'll just go here off the 4. Dollar bulls are out. Okay. So let's see if we can continue to track, right? 61.8 pullback, 1.618 the extension. See if we can come in at that 283, 280 on that. So right now, bullish. We're bullish. Let's see if we get some follow through on that. Okay, we read earlier about what's going on with the oil price. Right now, the dollar is knocking out everything. We'll see if it can maintain its bullish momentum against the CAD. So that's where we are on the UCAD. So far, so good on that. Manage your trade if you're long. Okay. And we'll go to the dollar Swiss. This one off here. Daily, right? That U-turn, chasing that 382. Okay. Here we are on the, I should go back to the weekly. Formed a beautiful low, right? Found support at the 88.23. And we're pushing long. Pushing long. See if we can continue that momentum. See if the dollar strength continues. There's that daily 382. Okay. There's that daily 382. Got to pull back 61.8. See if it finishes out. Okay. So right now, bullish on the dollar. Any questions on the dollar Swissy or any of the pairs we covered tonight?
No.
All righty. Reese, switch in. Can you run the fib from the high in a 15-minute? Sure can. Sure can. Let's do it. Let me add that 15 in. Right. You thinking that's gonna hold? It might. It might. It will be a good entry, right? We were just talking about that. What was it? Was it the NZD USD? We were going back and forth. What was it? Was it I think it was over the weekend when it was sitting. Was it the one I yeah, I believe. Yes. There you go, Reese. That's an 80-20 right there, everybody. Hold up. All right. But this was the setup this weekend that we were going back and forth saying, hey, is that going to stay within the AP boundary? And it did. It faded to the downside. That was huge. So when you talk about that switch in, it could do the same thing. I appreciate you pointing that out on the 15. That's a good risk to reward. That's a good risk to reward. I switch in on the 15 if you want to play that. So I don't want to draw this one up though. Yep. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Because we definitely were going back and forth like, I don't know. And it just collapsed. So that's high risk to reward play there. That stop above the A, pretty much above the high. At that point, when it gets that high, those 8.6s are nice. Pull them off. So this one here, that's right at support. Okay. So you think back to that 382. This NZD USD. here. Mark that up. There. All right, so what do we have here? This is about 60 pips. Call it 60 pips. 60. And move back long. Call it 110. Got potential here. Pretty decent move. So now, if you like a tighter setup, you can maybe like, the cool thing is we're at weekly support, so we may get decent reaction. Some point if it holds. If you want, you like to play a tighter stop, or you like more confirmation, then you look for your trend line breaks and you look for higher highs and higher lows. You know, 1 hour, 15, your 5, however you want to play it. So it looks something like this. It's a huge impulse move to the downside, right at 60.85. And if we can get a stall at weekly support, that's a weekly support level. Right. So what I do now is I want to bring this 382 target down to the lower time frame. Peter decided to stop working. Let's see. On everybody. Finish this setup. It'd be a nice one. All right. There we go. So we know we've got some levels on the 15. Like that. Okay. So that there, that 1 hour 382 is way up there. So on your 15-minute, you got some levels here. Okay. Got time. We'll just look at these first couple levels right now. And so if we hold, you may say I need additional confirmation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait for a break, right, and some sort of maybe, right, we go depending on the momentum. If we get a reaction off weekly support, if we get above that level, maybe not. But then I'm going to look for a pullback like this. Okay. I'll drop my fib at that point. Okay. and I can play the smaller targets off my fibs running on the 15. Or like I say, I'm just looking for that good initial entry. Okay. Looking for a good initial entry here. So. And get a crown pattern. And once I get that initial entry, I'm going for that 382 target off the one. Like that. See, now I'm not playing with the stop that's at that 1.618D extension on the one. I'm playing with the stop that's below my A like this. So it kind of closes the gap and increases the risk to reward. So if I can get this entry, okay, 61.8, somewhere around there. Now, okay, I'm here. Next up. And it may make one or two waves, but I'm going to shoot for that target off the 1 hour 382 like that. So yes, I'm gonna get a D extension. Okay. I just messed that up. Pull that one back down and make sure I'm spot on with that. Oh, okay. So I may get a D extension hit on this smaller wave, but that's okay because I'm on the 15-minute. And I'm looking for it to just continue to make this move up, like so. Okay. So that's how you can play that on the 15-minute and close that gap, right? So that's going to give you a tighter stop. You just have to be patient as opposed to, hey, I'm in at this level. However you want to play it. Sometimes it just depends on how much time you have, how often you can get in front of your computer for a move like that. Or you play it like the 1 hour setup is right now. Right? And you can take that approach to every setup that we find if you want. Okay. That's 60 pips. Okay. That's a 60 pip stop. Okay. This setup will give you a stop. We'll call it 20. Okay. So that's a smaller play, but you have to be more patient. And you have to wait for those things to play out. So same TP. Okay. What was that on the 110? Same TP, tighter stop. Questions before we close out? No. Nope. We're all good. All right. I'm gonna click back real quick to this. You're welcome. You're welcome. Appreciate you all being here. I'm gonna go back on this 15-minute. It's kind of sitting around. And that's it's pushed its way up to an 8.6. So if that stays below that A, right? What is that? It's 80 pips. Stop on it. Anywhere between 10 to 15, depending on, Reese, if you wait on a trend line break or whatnot and a pullback potentially on that for additional confirmation. we'll call it anywhere between 10 and 20 pips on that to an 80 pip move to the downside if it wants to hold. So that one can be quite interesting. Okay, definitely keep your eye on it after what happened with that NZD USD. I mean, that, all right, I'll post that NZD USD kind of trend trade setup in the Discord once we get off. And that's it. All right, appreciate you all being here. Glad to be back. And look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.